Hello, welcome to the Kitchen Spy. My name is Kate and this video is a double recipe. It's my version of a chili and also a mockamole recipe. A mockamole is a kind of pretend guacamole, if you will. It's made with asparagus instead of avocado, so clearly it's super low in calories. It's also really tasty, a good accompaniment to chili, but also a really good dip. I think I got the recipe years ago from a Rosemary Connolly cookbook or something, but anyway, I make it quite a lot. It's really easy to do, and I've got the recipe for that at the end of the chili. I'll note down below when that starts in case you want to skip to there. So on to the ingredients for the chili now. Okay, so we've got here 200 grams of finely chopped onions. Then I've got 500 grams of minced beef, and this is 5% fat. I've got 300 millilitres of beef stock, or about half a pint, a 400-gram can of kidney beans which have been rinsed and drained, 200 grams of mushrooms sliced, and I've sliced the slices in half, a can of chopped tomatoes, a 400-gram can. Then we've got some Tabasco. We use any amount of this that you feel comfortable with. Few shakes, but it adds to the flavour. 1 tablespoon of gluten-free Worcester sauce in this instance, and then 1 teaspoon of, I've got vegetable oil, but you can use whatever oil you like. Then I've got 4 garlic cloves which have been crushed and 2 big chilies, and as you can see I've left the seeds in one of them, taken the seeds out of the other one, and I've chopped them very finely. In terms of spices, I've got 1.5 teaspoons of cumin, 1.5 teaspoons of hot chili powder, and also 1 teaspoon of paprika, not smoked. If you want it less hot, then you don't have to use hot chili powder. You can use mild, or you can reduce the quantities, but we like it spicy. Then we move over to the pan, and using the vegetable oil, I'm going to start frying the onions off now. I'll leave the ingredients down below in both metric and imperial, so that you can use the ingredients you feel most comfortable with. So I'm just frying these off now, and it's definitely worth taking your time over this bit. Make sure that you get the onions to be quite soft and quite brown. It's a little bit harder to do when you've only got a small amount of oil, but if you go fairly slowly, maybe take 10 or 15 minutes over this, then you'll end up with onions that are looking really lovely and quite golden brown. And then once that happens, we can start adding the other ingredients. So we've got the chili and the garlic here, and with this I'm going to stir fry these for about 5 minutes. At this point this can be quite pungent because the kind of aromas coming off the saucepan make me cough and sneeze sometimes, but it's definitely worth stir frying these because it releases quite a lot of flavour, and obviously that all kind of mixes in with the onion taste. And then we start to add the other ingredients. So here we've got the chili powder, the cumin and the paprika, and just mix that all the way through this mixture. If it starts to look a bit dry here or it starts to stick, you can just stick in a splash of water and that will just make sure that it doesn't stick anymore. And then we add the meat. So the meat is minced meat, and obviously that means that it can stick to itself. So just make sure that you're breaking it down so that we don't end up with any big horrid clumps of meat in the middle of the sauce. So you need to take some time over this, and you need to get to the point where the meat is browned all over and in each individual small pieces. I always use 5% fat, and that's because I'm always looking to reduce calories, but you can use whatever kind of mince that you've got. I just find anything with a higher fat percentage a little bit greasy now because I've used this for so long. This recipe also lends itself really well to be done with either pork mince or 2% fat turkey breast mince, and that really does make quite a low calorie meal. Anyway, once the minced beef is thoroughly cooked through and is browned, we can start to add the other ingredients. So in with the Worcester sauce we go, give that a quick stir around, and then with the Tabasco. So for the Tabasco, it's probably best at this stage to be quite gentle with it, just a few shakes. If you want more later on, you absolutely can put that in, that's no problem whatsoever. But you can't take it out if you over season it, so be cautious. Then once everything's in there, we pop in the tinned tomatoes. I had these tomatoes from Aldi. I really think they're very good indeed. They've got a really thick sauce, and also the tomatoes are in quite big chunks. And then once I've stirred those through, I'm going to add the stock to the meal. So this is the 300 mils of beef stock, and what I like to do is put it into the can of tomatoes, the empty can, and that way I'm getting all of the tomato flavour out of the can, all of the remaining bits of juice. I'm not sure whether that makes me mean or not, but I do it, and it works for me. The next thing I'm adding is salt. You can miss salt out if you're looking to reduce salt in your diet, but I'm not. So I'm adding here about half a teaspoon of salt, and then I'm going to add quite a lot of pepper. And the reason I'm adding a lot of pepper is that actually what we're looking for in this is like various levels of flavour. So we've got the fresh chili, we've got the powdered chili, we've got the Tabasco, we've got the paprika, and having the pepper in here as well just lends itself to adding another layer of flavour to this very, very flavoursome sauce. Once we've done that, we just bubble it away for a short time, and then we add the mushrooms. You don't have to add mushrooms, but I like to. I think they add an extra texture to the meal, but also in terms of making the meal stretch further, it's good because it bulks out the sauce, and especially if you're looking for a meal that's filling and low in calories, really just chucking the mushrooms in just gives it a little bit of extra something, in my opinion. So I'm just making sure that I'm pushing the mushrooms down into the sauce so that they cook properly, and I'm just leaving that to bubble for maybe 10 or 15 minutes until it comes to a simmering point. Then I'm just going to stir it round just to make sure everything is hot. And the way that I do that is I give it a big stir, and then if you look at the edge of the pan and you can still see it bubbling, to me that means it's ready to be simmered. So I'm popping the lid on, and I'm going to leave that for about half an hour. And here we are, back after that half an hour. So I'm taking the lid off very carefully because obviously it's very hot, and I'm just checking the sauce to see whether it's ready or not. So it's looking cooked, but what I'm doing, as you can see there, is I'm scraping the spoon through the sauce, lifting it up, but as you move the spoon through the sauce, it's actually filling the gap straight away. To me, that means that that sauce isn't ready. So what I'm going to do is leave it bubbling away for a short while with the lid off until it gets to the point where you can see here that I can move the sauce, and it takes some time for it to come back together. And to me, that's ready. So the next thing we need to do is add the kidney beans. They go in right at the end because these are canned kidney beans. If you're using dried kidney beans, then obviously make sure that you follow the cooking instructions properly, but canned ones just need warming through for 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm just stirring those all through the sauce. So really, that is ready. So we'll move over onto the mockamole recipe, and then we'll come back to the chili later to plate it up. So in terms of the mockamole, the ingredients that you're going to need are salt and pepper, half a red chilli, I've taken the seeds out and chopped it into chunks, 2 cloves of garlic, the juice of 1 lime, 6 cherry tomatoes quartered, and here I've got 125 grams of asparagus tips. I would use a whole bunch if I'd got them, but I couldn't find it. And as you can see, I've kind of overcooked that to the point where it's a little bit droopy, and that's what we want. Here's everything except the cherry tomatoes in the Magimix. That's my blender. So I've just popped everything into the Magimix, and then as you can see here, I've got a little bit of cling film over the top of the bowl before I put the lid on, and what this means is that the cling film gets dirty and not the lid. I'm not sure whether that makes me lazy or not, but I do that so I don't have to wash the lid all the time. pushing it down until you've got everything in there. Give it a big whiz, and then once it's all whizzed up together, then we just transfer it to a dish and stir the tomatoes through. And here we are. That's the finished mockamole. It really is very tasty and very low calories. So here's the finished dish. So we've got the chili, the mockamole, and I've served it with some rice here. And if I'd got some, and I haven't, I would put some corn chips or Doritos with this as well. In terms of calories, that portion of mockamole, which is actually half of the recipe I did, is 32 calories, and the actual chili itself is 264 calories. So all in total, that plate with the rice was 439. So there we are, another recipe. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, it would be great if you could give it a big thumbs up. If you're already a subscriber, thanks for coming back. I really, really appreciate it. As you know, I'm fairly new to this, so to have the support that I've got at this point is really very precious to me. So thank you very much. If you're not a subscriber and you feel like you might want to see more recipes or food hauls or anything that I might do that's food related, I've got a few ideas about new videos in the future, then please consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to click the notification button, and that way you'll get a notification as and when I upload new videos. So there we are then, another recipe. I'll be back soon with a food haul, and once again, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.